Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us on this kind of cloudy Wednesday afternoon. We've got a couple of things to talk about today, and then, of course, we're going to take your questions. First up, COVID. There's not a lot of new information on our COVID numbers, but I do want to say that yesterday we had 42 new cases in the city of St. Louis. Now, on the hospital numbers, which are 2 days old, you all know that, there were 290 people in the hospital, 79 of which were in ICU, and 44 were on ventilators. Those numbers are a tad better than they were for the last few days, so that's good. Not much change, though. Patients admitted to the hospital yesterday, or 2 days ago, 41. People discharged, 55. So really pretty steady numbers with regard to COVID hospitalizations, ICUs, and ventilators. For the city, our new cases are pretty good. 42, somewhere kind of in the middle. We had been around 27 for a few days, and so still kind of steady. We do know, and this is some new information that is on our website if you're interested in getting deeper into the numbers, but we do know that the R0, which is the medical term for the reproduction of number of cases in the city of St. Louis, is down below 1. That's good, because that means your case number, when it's below 1, the number of cases should drift down a bit. Now, that hasn't always been the case. That's pretty new information. In fact, I think let me look here so I have this correct for you. That's the last 14 days, the R0 has been down, and actually about 30 days ago it went just barely under 1. The cumulative is still higher because early on in this pandemic we had R0 factors of over 2. So for those of you that are really looking at the numbers, those are city numbers, city only numbers. St. Louis County, they have some numbers, I believe, on their website as well. Of course, what drives the hospitalizations is the entire region, Missouri, Illinois, outstate Missouri, because of course much of the healthcare, much of the hospitalizations are here in the St. Louis city and county and greater region. So that's driving the hospital numbers. You all probably saw, it was the front page of the newspaper today, that Illinois has some new restrictions in place. Illinois, on the east side here, has gone to no inside dining and no inside bar service. So they still are allowing outdoor dining. We do not think that we're going to have to go in that direction here in the city of St. Louis. Of course, can't promise that, but we don't think that we will have to do that. And it really depends a lot on our behavior. If we will all continue to wear masks. I know you're sick and tired of hearing that, and I'm sorry, but it just is the only thing, wearing mask and staying socially distanced, and to be able to keep our numbers down. So that's COVID for today, and I'll be happy to take your questions. Oh, is there one other thing on COVID? No, I think that's it for right now. Let me say, we talked about this on Monday. You all know that Officer Bohannon died on Sunday as a result of gunshot wound to the head on Saturday night. Just a terribly, terribly sad situation. Great guy, really. All family and his coworkers, everyone is just so heartbroken about this. The service for him is this weekend, visitation and a memorial service this weekend. So, we're just trying to get through that for this week, and certainly our police department, our police officers are all just trying to get through that. And our hearts go out to his family and his friends and all of the St. Louis Police Department who's suffering this heartbreak together. One thing I want to say about that further is that for those of you that are able, please consider donating to Backstoppers. You just Google it, backstoppers.org. It's right on the homepage. You can make a contribution to Backstoppers. Backstoppers does help the family, will continue to help the family. They're helping many families right now. So for those of you that are saying to yourself, oh, what can I do? You know, if you can spare $10 or $30 or $100 or $1,000, please consider donating to Backstoppers. Family does want to say there is no GoFundMe account or any of that none of that they have authorized. So best place is Backstoppers. Last item. Today, this morning, the state Senate passed House Bill 46. The House passed it last week. House Bill 46 will lift the residency requirement for public safety officials, so police, firefighters, EMS workers, will lift the residency requirement for them. And the most important thing about this is that it allows us to recruit from a much broader geography within an hour of St. Louis. And you all know that we're 140 some police officers short of our table of organization of our authorized strength. We have been for a long time. We know that every other police department in the area, every other police department can recruit from anywhere. We were the only ones who could only recruit from inside our own city limits. So while, of course, you know, we love having police officers live in our city, many do and many still will, but it gives us the opportunity to expand our recruiting geography. And you know, and I know that it is hard right now to hire police officers, and that's for a number of reasons. But when you're the only department who has a residency requirement and you can't recruit outside of that geography, it puts you at a competitive disadvantage. So this levels the playing field. In a few days, or soon I should say, it will go to the governor for his signature. We have spoken with the governor. He is in support of this. And so we're happy today that we were able to do that. It has a 3-year sunset on it, meaning anyone who works for the department now or anyone who is hired within the next 3 years. And you know, we'll deal after 3 years. We'll deal with that then. So it's just an important opportunity for us to be able to fill those vacant positions in our police department. It will not happen overnight. But for those of you that are out there that are watching, who might know someone who wants to work for the best police department in the region, please apply to the St. Louis City Police Department. And those were the 3 subjects I wanted to cover. Do we have questions, Jacob?
A couple of questions related to COVID-19 and the eviction moratorium that was extended. So Linda has a question about that. Can landlords still evict people who are doing illegal activities related to drugs and other nuisance behavior?
Yes, really good question, Linda. I happen to have this order right here. So here's what it says. Evictions are suspended until October the 2nd, except for expedited evictions under Chapter 441. Okay. Writs of eviction shall be allowed for possession of premises on behalf of plaintiffs who have received judgments for possession when the grounds for eviction were established for a drug or other activity as provided in that section. So for criminal activity or that sort of thing, people can still be evicted. This was important. We had a lot of folks that contacted us about this. What we're trying to do is prevent evictions for people that can't pay their rent because they were laid off during COVID, after March, or their hours were reduced, so their income is lower. So that's it. It works in connection with our rental and mortgage assistance program as well. So I think that's going to work pretty well.
Dana's question, and she might be a small business owner, is worried about the customers they're losing after 11 p.m. at their bar. When might the city reverse the 11 o'clock curfew?
Dana, I think it's going to be a little while longer. So St. Louis County has a 10 o'clock curfew. Illinois has it's not a curfew, but can't serve alcohol after that time. So St. Louis County is 10 o'clock, Illinois is 11 o'clock, City of St. Louis is 11 o'clock. So we're all pretty consistent on that, and that's going to stay in place for the time being.
Your $7.4 million CARES Act relief package for rent and mortgage, when does some of that assistance begin to finally make it to landlords and property owners?
So it's already begun making it to landlords and property owners. As of end of last week, there had been about 300 units that had been paid for. Now there are many more that are in the works, and the agencies that we contracted with are all diligently processing those as quickly as possible. It's a little bit complex. You've got an application from a tenant, let's say. You got to contact that tenant, get a hold of them, get their paperwork, get additional information. You've got to contact the landlord. You may want them to mediate the situation. So it is, we're being careful that this money is not being wasted or spent inappropriately. So, but that's all really rolling right now. So some checks have been cut, others will be cut in the near future.
Robin's question, Mayor, is how is your office helping people in the unhoused homeless community deal with COVID-19?
So Robin, thank you for that question. I mean, we are, we have a number of locations, and anyone who's seeking shelter or anyone who we can persuade to go into shelter, that is available to them. In addition, all of these locations have caseworkers to try to help people navigate the other sort of situations that are present in their lives that may have led to them being homeless at this point in time.
So on some other topics, we do have one more COVID question, Mayor, from Karen related to COVID and the election. Wants to know, is it possible to set up booths around the post office or in other locations where mail-in ballots could be dropped off? And are notaries going to help with this process come fall?
So Karen, mail-in ballots actually have to be mailed. This is state law. This is not something the City of St. Louis has put in place, but mail-in ballots actually have to be mailed. Absentee ballots can be, you can vote absentee right now at the election board, but the election board is seeking probably 3 other locations that you would be able to go to and vote absentee. You would vote electronically absentee. And they're looking for those spots right now. There certainly will be one north, one central, and one south. They have to be able to staff those positions. So let me just say to all of you out there, if you know someone, or maybe you yourself, if you could work for one day, and it is a long day, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., but if you could work for one day at a polling place, we really need people to do that. It pays a little over $100, or maybe close to $125. It's online. We'll post it again. We've posted it before. But so if you can do it, that would be terrific. So if you're a student who could, give up that day in November, if you are maybe somebody who's retired, or if you're somebody who, is willing to take a day of vacation, I know that's a lot to ask, or maybe your boss will give you off that day. The election board really needs people to work at the polls. They're also need people to work at these remote locations. That's for more than a day. But we really need for folks to do that. And, over the years, people have sometimes complained to me about poll workers. that they, I don't know, they weren't nice enough or they weren't quite, they had some complaint about it. And I always say to people, please volunteer to do that. You get paid a little. I say volunteer, but you get paid a little. But step in and do that. It's so important to running, our elections well. And so if you can do it, it would be great if you would step up and do that this year.
We got a few questions about a statewide mask mandate and whether or not you think that would be helpful if the rest of the state followed St. Louis's lead in keeping our cases down.
Absolutely. I'd love to have, I wish we had all along a statewide mask mandate, but we don't. And so St. Louis City has a mask mandate, St. Louis County has a mask mandate, Illinois has a statewide mask mandate. Other counties, surrounding counties, do not have a mandate. They are encouraging people to wear masks. Masks are the only thing, or the biggest thing that can help slow the spread of COVID. We know this. We also know, and I reported on this on Monday, the COVID pandemic task force came out with some numbers that say locations that have a mask mandate have 30% less growth in their number of cases than locations that do not. Now that's a lot of numbers, but the point is you got fewer cases or growth in your cases if you have a mask mandate. So yes, I'd love for us to have a mask mandate. That's not going to happen, apparently. And so we do what we can here.
Question from Christine, Mayor, other topic. Is the building division still doing inspections? And if so, how do buildings fall down like portions of the Limp Brewery?
Oh gosh, Christine. Yes, the building division is still doing inspections, but the Limp Brewery was 150 years old, I think it was, and it had already been condemned. Excuse me. It had already been condemned, and when you have a lot of rain, when you have hot and cold, these old buildings, they can't take it forever. So
We have a couple of follow-up questions along the
okay. Couple
Just
of
a few
sneezing.
follow-up questions along the lines of, are you worried about having officers along the residency working in the city when they aren't from here and maybe don't live here?
I know that is a concern of some people, but many officers in St. Louis County are not from there and don't live there. Many officers in other parts of the state and even other states aren't from there, don't live there. And I bet many of you, some of you live in the city, some of you live in the county, some of you live in Illinois maybe. You don't all work in the town that you live in. So I think, that we're a very transient society. So I think that'll work fine.
That's all the time we have for today, Mayor.
That's it for today. I think we have something else here coming up in just a few minutes. So sorry to bug out on you a little bit early today. We'll be back at you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.